Hello, everybody. It's Meg Czapiewski with Honorable Service Realty Group, and we've got your market report. These are the March data for April's market report, and I'm gonna flip onto the slide so that we can get going. There we go. Okay, starting in Fairfax County, a nice growth spurt here in market activity. These are new pendings. So the new pendings means those contracts that those homes that went under contract in the month of March. And it's reflecting a year-over-year increase of a little over 5%, so 5.5%, but then also obviously a nice month-over-month increase as well. So buyers are out there. When we take a look at days on market, this is pretty fun. So these are the homes that, again, went under contract in March, and what you're seeing is it's less than a week, guys. So for those homes that went under contract in the month of March, things were happening really fast. I wouldn't get too freaked out about the fact that that's a 20% year-over-year increase. There aren't too many days left between 1 and 6, so 6 is fast, and 6 is more than acceptable. And I would think that buyers would like to see that to be a little bit longer, quite honestly, because this means you're in a hustle right now, and you need to be one of the early ones to be getting into the house. Supply and demand. We always look at the days on market and then the supply and demand as almost opposites to some respect, because right now what's happening is that those homes that are going under contract are going quickly, and we will see, I believe, some very strong sales prices as those sales eventually close in April, May, and June. But the accumulating inventory means there are homes that are not selling, and they're waiting for another week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month. And it just has been continuing to incline. We watched this happen last year. And the best news is that in Fairfax County, this is the only county of the 3 that we're looking at where this is the case, the accumulating inventory is actually reflecting a year-over-year reduction. That's good news. That means that it's the amount of inventory that isn't selling is less than what we had been seeing last year. In other words, maybe not by numbers, but by percentage, more is going under contract. So we're glad to see that, and that's a good news story for the market in Fairfax County. Taking a last look now at pricing trends, and I'm just gonna click these all on so you can see. It's pretty stable in the grand scheme of things. One single house can potentially send the median up a bit or not. This is showing a 1.7% decrease for detached or single family homes, an increase about the same, but on the increase for townhomes, and then a really, really flat line for condos. So showing a median sales price of $995. I would expect the next number in April to look like a really nice upward trend. Like I said, they've got 6 days on market. They have a positive trend on their supply and demand. They had a shoot up in activity, so don't get hung up on these numbers here. Bottom line is we don't evaluate valuation month to month or even in March to March. We have to kind of look at the whole year as a whole, because every month can differ depending on what's on the market and what's not on the market. One great big house will definitely skew our numbers to some degree. So overall, Fairfax looking good. And let's see what we have to say in Prince William. We're gonna head back over to market activity for the new pendings and another shoot up. That's great. These guys actually are reflecting about a 10, almost 11% increase year over year. That's good news. definitely saw a jump up in activity between February and March. So happy news. Days on market, another good number corresponding with activity up, days on market down, and we've got 8 days still, more or less a week before your home gets under contract, unless you're one of the ones that didn't prep right or didn't price right. We'll talk about that later. Supply and demand, like in all three counties, quite honestly, it's starting to tick up. This is a little higher than we would like to see, right? Because year over year, 32% increase, that's not a positive trend. We would have rather seen what we saw in Fairfax, which was that year over year, the ratios were improving for supply and demand. But still under 1.5 months, still under 6 weeks. That's good compared to what we were seeing last year. The only challenge is that as the spring continues, this number will probably go up and we'll be closer to that 2 month, I predict, closer to that 2 month mark like we were last year by the time midsummer hits. So pricing trends. It's a little wonky when you are looking at some of the ups and downs, but we do see that at 735 and some change as a detached home, and for townhomes, 542,950 is a month over month increase and also a year over year increase. Townhomes carrying more of that at 14.3%. And then the detached up 5%. So, and then lastly, let's hit Stafford. Market activity, turn off the noise. There you go. So remember last year we had just a little bit of a detractor here in activity, not last year, last month, a little bit of a detractor here with the activity levels, but they caught up. So a nice strong trajectory in Stafford and showing a 22% increase. So that's better than both Fairfax and Prince William County, which were at 5 and almost 11. So good news for activity levels. They're catching up in Stafford. When we take a look at, no, we don't want to do supply and demand, just kidding. Days on market, really quick. So their days on market is, approaching 3 weeks, so a little slower. However, that's still like when I was first in real estate, 1 to 2 months was pretty much expected. And we've just, kind of lost our patience on when homes are sitting on the market for weeks, but still not a month. So don't read too much into this, but the reality is that a lot of buyers do. A lot of buyers assume that if you're on your second weekend, that it's time to, come in with a low ball offer. So we, whenever possible, certainly want to prepare the home and list the home at something that's going to capture the attention, because I guarantee you there are homes in Stafford selling in 6 to 8 days, just like we saw in the other counties. Now on to supply and demand. Again, a little bit of accumulation. They're just right at 2 months. And but from a year over year standpoint, this 12% isn't so bad, because remember Prince William was 30 something. So this is okay, doing okay. And at the end of last year, at the peak of last year, Stafford was right around 3 months. Most likely they'll get there in the summer, fall months. We'll see. Tune in later. And then lastly, on the pricing trends, we've got the detached, and I didn't want to use that one. There we go. So positive growth month over month in the detached, but it's not year over year growth. So this is the one, the Fairfax also did not have positive growth. We did see some in Prince William County. So your average single family home is just under 600,000. Your average townhome coming in just over 400,000. That's a slight decrease year over year. And again, like, so November was a bad month. That's okay because you just don't know what's getting sold in that month. Might have been a lot of the accumulating inventory that just sat on market. But then you've got other things that are coming on in the spring and potentially doing well. So you see some positive growth. We'll have to recap that at the end of the year to really understand where our trajectories are. But for the most part, all of the big names are projecting, somewhere in the 3 to 4% appreciation for home values. And that's always a good thing. So let me stop sharing really quick and we'll just sum this up. I have a few notes here and I still need my glasses to see them. So, bottom, just summarizing, the spring market is clearly here. We're definitely seeing an increase in buyer activity, reflecting almost, reflecting good numbers throughout all 3 counties that we're paying attention to. Pricing is still reflecting, in most cases, in most home types, appreciation as well. So don't take these things in too much of an isolated area. I do believe that particularly with low days on markets and that trajectory of activity, that when we look at home values in April, all those closings, and then in May for some of these closings that are coming on, you're going to see some really strong appreciation numbers too. So the bottom line is inventory accumulation, I think, is going to look a lot like what we saw last year. So we're inching up. I don't think it's going to go over 3 months in Stafford, and I don't think it's going to get to 3 months in the other 2 counties. Hope I'm right. And that still reflects a pretty balanced and maybe even still seller-friendly market. But here's the thing, guys. If you're a seller, you really need to be working with someone with skills that can tell you how it's going to need to be prepped to capture that interest right away, how you need to price it, because our listings are going for 10 to 60,000 more. When you're up in Fairfax, they're talking about listings that are going to 100,000 more. So it's counterintuitive, but you don't really want to price for negotiation space in a market like this. You need to be that group that got picked up in that first 6 to 8 days on market and got an offer, hopefully multiple offers, escalation in price, because that accumulating inventory means that there are a lot of good deals for buyers too. The buyers that don't want to put an escalation addendum in or don't want to waive their contingencies, there are going to be a lot of great deals there because we're already seeing that supply and demand curve up. So hope that was helpful. Please let us know if we can give you a new refreshed market analysis on your specific home, your specific community. I'm also going to include in this our new tool that we have, a new market report that allows you to do home valuations, but also lets you see what's been selling around your neighborhood and what's ultimately impacting your home value. So feel free to sign up for that. You'll get a monthly report and we won't bother you. And if you ever want a in deep dive, personalized market report, we're happy to help. Okay. Thanks so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Have a good day.